Good morning, everyone. Buenos dias para todos ang naman presente gini. Gid mismo tempo sa paugo na bero kugnisa si Mr. Devin Macaronas po agang member neste na Committee Executive Appointments and Government Investigations. Senor Macaronas, call the roll, please.
Senator Selena R. Babauta,
Present.
Senator Karina L. Magofnia,
Geiger.
Senator Paul A. Mangonia, Senator Donald M. Mangonia.
Present.
Madam Chair, 3 members are present, 1 member is absent.
Thank you, Mr. Macaronas. It is now 9:42 a.m. on this Monday, November 13th, 2023, here at the Tinian Courthouse, and with 3 members present. A quorum to conduct today's official hearing is hereby established, and I hereby call this meeting to order. Before we proceed with introductions, I'd like to take care of some housekeeping rules. I'd like to ask everyone for their cooperation to please silence all your electronic devices. The committee appreciates it. And additionally, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. If for any reason we need to take a break, Facebook will continue to stream live, just for your information. This time, I'd like to recognize the professional staff of the Legislative Bureau assisting the committee this morning. First, we have our legal counsel to give us sound advice, Mr. Joe Bermudez. We have our Sergeant at Arms to keep decorum in the meeting. We have Mr. Ben Terlahi, our IT manager, Mr. Jonathan Diaz, and also our legislative assistant assigned to the committee is Mr. Devin Macaronas. Today, we will begin our confirmation hearing for Ms. Patricia Joy San Nicolas to serve as a board member of the CNMI Scholarship representing the 2nd Senatorial District pursuant to 3 CMC 1013B. And Mr. Frank Borja will be coming in around 11 a.m. Both have been nominated. Mr. Borja was nominated to serve on the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, or CEDA, representing the 2nd Senatorial District as well. Ms. San Nicolas was renominated by Governor Palacios on October 26, 2023, and Mr. Borja was renominated on November 9th, 2023. I am Selena Babauta, and I serve as your chair for this committee. For the record, the notice for today's agenda was published on November 7th, 2023, in compliance with the Open Government Act. And I would like to recognize Senator Donald Mangonia for the proper motion to adopt today's agenda.
At this time, I move to adopt today's agenda.
Second.
Motion has been made and it has been seconded. Are you ready to dispose of the main motion?
Ready.
There being all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. There being a unanimous vote to adopt today's agenda, it is hereby duly adopted. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Oscar Babauta, the Special Assistant for Administration, and the nominee, Ms. Patricia San Nicolas, to please come and join us. Mr. Babauta's official role here is to formally introduce the nominee to the committee. And Mr. Babauta, you may begin when you are ready.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of your esteemed EAJI committee. It is humbling to be on Tinian today as a result of the call of this committee, and appropriately, since the nominees that we'll be hearing this morning are from the island of Tinian, 2nd Senatorial District, consists of Tinian and Aguiguan. That being said, Madam Chair, good morning, Hafaday, and Tiro to all of you, and to the honorable members of the esteemed Executive Appointment and Governmental Investigation Committee. For the record, my name is Oscar M. Babauta, the Special Assistant for Administration under the Office of the Governor and that of the Lieutenant Governor, Arnold Palacios and David M. Apateng. I thank you for the opportunity to appear before you today. I am here to introduce officially the Governor and Lieutenant Governor's nominee for the CNMI Scholarship Board of Directors, Ms. Patricia Joy S. San Nicolas. Although Mr. Frank Borja is not here currently, I wish to include his name uh, for the committee's reference, whom will be forthcoming in an hour or so. Mr. Borja has been renominated for the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board of Directors, representing the Second Senatorial District, as well as Ms. San Nicolas. By this time, all of you should have in your possession both individuals' resume describing their professional experiences and education. Governor Palacios and Lieutenant Governor Apatang places the complete trust and confidence in both Ms. San Nicolas to serve in the Cinema Scholarship Board of Directors and Mr. Bora to continue serving the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority. I know they stand ready to answer your questions this morning and present their plans for the future of our Commonwealth. Your long professional experiences, credentials, and commitments to serving the Commonwealth in this capacity makes them viable candidates, and we kindly ask for your expeditious approval. Thank you, Jesus Masi and Galiso, to all of you, primarily you, Chairwoman Selena, and your members, and also your legislative and committee assistants, staff, who have also traveled from the homeland to Tinian. So thank you very much for the opportunity to be with all of you this morning. And may I now turn over the microphone to Ms. San Nicolas.
Jesus Mossett, Mr. Babalta, before we hear from the nominee, um, at this time, we will move forward with the next order of business, which is public comments. I now open the floor for public comments, and may I ask that you please limit your remarks to 5 minutes, and please state your name for the record and the office you represent. The floor is now open. I'd like to recognize the presence of Senator Carl King Neighbors, our colleague in the Senate. Senator Neighbors, you're welcome to join us if you'd like to. The floor is now open for public comments.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and good morning to the members of the Senate Standing Committee on EAGI. As you all know, my name is Carl Rosario King Neighbors. I sit before you today as a member of this community and in my capacity as a senator. I would like to first take this opportunity to thank Governor Palacios for his appointment nomination for Ms. Santa Claus. I think it's very important that, and I'd like to thank also Ms. Santa Claus for accepting this nomination. She is a product of Tinian and the CNMI. She's graduated from NMC and has chosen to stay here and provide her talents and her aptitude and her capability to the people of Tinian, and in this capacity to serve on the board, to represent the island of Tinian to the CNMI. She's very smart. She's very educated. She's not a woman of many words, but she chooses her words wisely, and I think that really does go a long way in her success. With that being said, I hope for a favorable report from this committee, and I thank you all for your time.
Jesus Mossett, Senator Neighbors, the floor is still open. If there are none, we will close the public comments portion. The floor is open if you'd like to make public comments for those who just entered. Yes. Okay, so we will take a short recess at this time. Thank you, everyone. We are back from recess, and at this time, the floor is still open for public comments.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and welcome to Tinian. It's always uh, we're always delighted when you guys come down to Tinian and open public hearings for issues that the Senate undertakes on a daily basis. Thank you again for the opportunity. Half a day, Tiro, Lieutenant Maymay, and good morning, Madam Chair Babauta, and members of the Senate EAGI Committee. My name is Edwin P. Audon, and I'm the Mayor of Tinian and Aguiguan. I'm testifying before the committee in full support of the appointment of Ms. Patricia Joy Saniclas to the Cinema Scholarship Board. Ms. Patricia Joy Saniclas' dedication to the field of education has been evident in her various roles over the years. From 2017 to 2018, she served as a librarian aide to the Tinian Public Library. From 2018 to 2021, Ms. Saniclas served as the lead tutor for Project PROA, where she played a crucial role in helping students achieve their educational goals. Her most recent position as an ELA junior high classroom teacher at Tinian Junior Senior High School showcased her ability to educate and inspire the youth. In her current role as a behavioral health specialist at the Cinema PSS Office of Student and Support Services, Ms. Saniclas is actively contributing to the mental and emotional well-being of all students. Ms. Saniclas' academic achievements are equally impressive, having earned an Associate of Arts in Liberal Arts, Education Emphasis, and a Bachelor of Science in Education, Rehabilitation, and Human Services at the Northern Marianas College, both the highest honor, summa cum laude. These academic accomplishments reflect her commitment to excellence in the education field. Furthermore, Ms. Saniclas possesses a range of valuable skills that make her an excellent candidate for the Cinema Scholarship Board. Her great communication skills, effective leadership skills, and high level of organization and efficiency will enable her to work efficiently with other board members. Ms. Saniclas' background and skill positions her as a valuable asset to the Cinema Scholarship Board, and I have no doubt that she will make a significant impact in this capacity. In closing, Ms. Patricia Joy Saniclas is a dedicated and highly qualified individual with a strong commitment to education. Her passion for education, combined with her ability to foster student growth and her dedication to student well-being, make her an excellent fit for this role. I would like to thank the Senate EAJ Committee for allowing me the opportunity to state my full support of Ms. Patricia Joy Saniclas' nomination to the Cinema Scholarship Board. I'm confident that she will make a significant and positive impact to support the board's initiatives. Thank you, Suzu Sumasi, and have a great day.
Cesar Small State Mayor, it is always a pleasure to come visit our municipalities in Tinian and Rhoda. I share your sentiments that we enjoy ourselves coming over and meeting with our fellow island sisters. So thank you for welcoming us here.
Thank you.
The floor is still open for public comments. If there are no further comments, we will now close the public comments for the nomination of Ms. Patricia Saniclas, and we will open it back up at around 11 a.m. when we receive Mr. Frank Borja for his public hearing at 11. Thank you. I now invite Ms. Saniclas to please rise and raise your right hand as Mr. Macaranos, our LA, will administer the oath. Recognize Mr. Macaranos.
Patricia Joy S. Saniclas, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
You may be seated. Thank you. Today, we will evaluate the nominee, Ms. Saniclas, nominated by Governor Palacios to represent the 2nd Senatorial District on the CNMI Scholarship Board. And these nominations require the advice and consent of the Senate pursuant to the CNMI Constitution and laws. And that is why we are here today. It is the legislature exercising its authority under the Constitution and laws. Ms. Nicholas, I will now open the floor. If you would like to make any opening remarks, you may introduce your family as well, those who are present. The floor is now yours.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. First, I'd like to thank the Honorable Governor and Lieutenant Governor for their nomination, and I'd like to thank the Senate for being here today. My name is Patricia Nicholas. I am currently working at the public school system as the behavioral health specialist currently stationed at the Tinian Junior Senior High School. It is my pleasure to be here today as an appointee for the CNMI Scholarship Board, and I will do my best to ensure that I am supporting the board and ensuring that all responsibilities and initiatives will be met throughout my term in the board. So thank you for being here today and for my nomination and my appointment.
Thank you, Ms. Nicholas. I now open the floor to the members who wish to ask questions of you. I now recognize Senator Donald Manglonia.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and good morning, and congratulations, Ms. Nicholas, on your appointment to serve on the scholarship board. Just a couple of things I wanted to bring up. Since it didn't specify in your resume that you're currently a behavioral health specialist, do you think that this is a field in which the CNMI is lacking a lot of professionals in?
Oh, definitely. I definitely do feel that as a behavioral specialist currently, that here in the CNMI, we are lacking in the field in mental health. And I believe that this is something that people from our community can look forward to and could be interested in the future.
Do you think there are a lot of, or are there any opportunities for students to kind of get their interest sparked to spark their interest in this field? Because recently there was a law that was enacted within the CNMI scholarship to provide scholarship towards this field, this area of study. But do you feel like there's a lot that could be done, whether it be on the school level or maybe coming out of the CNMI scholarship office?
Yes, I do believe so. Currently in the PSS level, we are doing outreaches and ensuring that students are aware of these services that are available to them. As far as the bill goes, I am aware that there is a scholarship for those students who are interested in the mental health field. So I do believe that more could be done so more of these professions are available here in the island. Yes.
Thank you. Now, if confirmed, are you familiar with the WICHE program?
Yes.
Now, if confirmed, do you think that this WICHE program is still something that the CNMI should pursue?
Yes.
As an employee of PSS, is there enough exposure on WICHE programs that students are entering into these schools, or do you feel like there's a lack of information out there for students to go to these universities that are under this program?
Currently, I feel like at least in the PSS level, there is a lack of information for the WICHE programs. At least as a student who was in PSS in Tinian High School, and also I was a student at NMC, I was not aware of the WICHE program until I went to NMC. So I believe that at least in the PSS level, there could be more exposure into this program.
Okay, thank you. And I bring that up because the CNMI Scholarship Office invests and subscribe to this program, and if we're not getting the word across or getting students applying to these schools, and this is an investment that maybe the board should reconsider or try to push out more initiatives to get the word out there. And so I hope that's something that you can take a look at. What is your opinion on the current structure of the awards being converted into a loan for students who don't come back to the CNMI?
I believe that, for me, I believe that it is beneficial for our islands. I believe that it's important for us to have a local workforce. Many people see it as a loan that they have to repay it back, but I believe that it's important for us to give back to our community. We have taken a lot from our community, but by the time we graduate and by the time we get our degrees, we're in the workforce, I think it's so important for us to have a local workforce, that visibility to show students in the CNMI that there are people in these workforces, these work fields that they can become. So although it is seen as a loan, I think that it is very important just to have visibility of the local workforce.
Okay, thank you for that. I think, many of our students go off with the hopes of returning, but when they come back, they lack the openings in the field of study that they go off to pursue, or the salary doesn't meet the pay level of someone with a degree in a certain field, and so they tend to stay out in the States, and so I think the problem is, because they can't be in the CNMI to pay it back through service, now they're forced to pay it through, like I said, a loan, and have to pay back into the CNMI. Do you think the current structure should be maintained in terms of having to get those students to pay it back if they don't come back? Or maybe show proof that they've attempted to seek jobs? Are you confident in the current structure in that sense?
Yes, I am current in the current structure, but I also do believe that there should be an effort put that they did actively try to seek employment in the local workforce.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. I think just one recommendation. Well, before I hand the floor over, I just want to bring up some recommendations so that if you are confirmed, it's something that could be looked at. I'm not sure if there's currently a database on student success, or like students who are recipients of the CNMI scholarship coming back, or how to say this, whether it be dropping out of their current program, or what field are they entering into. I think that's something that the CNMI scholarship can look at, so that decision makers can determine what areas students are going into, or what maybe if the CNMI scholarship should look at other programs to push more of thinking about our current industry and what's lacking, or what will be lacking if once the CW program is terminated. And so how could we influence or convince our students to enter fields that are currently being filled by contract workers? And so I hope that's something that can be looked at and shared. Also, going back to repayment, I think that there has to be a greater focus on trying to recoup some of the funds that were awarded to students and those who didn't come back. I think that's the only way to kind of get this program to be self-sustaining in a sense, because a lot of times when we give out these awards, there's no return on investment, and so whether you want to establish a separate program that's more of a loan basis for those that maybe don't have any plans to come back in the immediate future, and so maybe that's another way to kind of generate some revenue through the interest of these loans that could assist other students that are needing it, that are wanting to stay within the CNMI. And so that's all I have for now, Madam Chair. Again, congratulations on your nomination, Ms. Nicholas.
Thank you, Senator Magnolia. I now recognize Senator Corina Magofnia.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Good morning, Mr. Nicholas and everyone here in the courtroom and to our viewing public. I would first like to congratulate you on your nomination and thank you for accepting the nomination. Your resume is pretty impressive, and I can see that you do have the passion and commitment to serve and assist our students in need, and it is just right and fitting for you to be nominated for a seat at the scholarship board. So with that said, should you be confirmed for the seat, what are some of your goals and objectives to ensure that when your term expires, those are realized and implemented? Based on what you see now as a PSS employee, what are some of the areas that you would like to improve on and implement by the time your term expires?
For me, I think just having the youth be aware of what is available to them, what they can avail to. I think that's something that is important for us to show for the youths, just so that they know you are getting help. There are resources that you have. Just you have to look at the right direction. I would hope that the youth would know these are different careers they can go to. These are the different resources they have by the time my term ends. So yes.
Thank you for that information. And that's pretty much all I have for you, Madam Chair. If I may request to be excused, I do have some other commitments that I need to tend to. I do sincerely apologize for being here for such a short period of time, but I am very confident that you will do well should you be appointed, should you be confirmed. So thank you, and Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Magofnia. You are excused. Ms. Nicholas, were you a recipient of the EAP, Educational Assistance Program, under the scholarship program?
Yes.
What other programs were you able to avail of while you were in your studies at NMC?
So
Was there
far,
any other?
the Tinian Municipal Scholarship. That's about it. Tinian Municipal Scholarship and then CNMI Scholarship, EAP, yeah.
Do you feel that that's sufficient, having received those two programs?
As a student from NMC, I felt that was very sufficient because I am, they were both able to help with my tuition and also housing. However, when it comes to, students who are going to universities off in the mainland, I feel that it is just enough to help get them through at least the beginning of their semester. So at least as a student here who went to NMC, I felt that was enough, that was sufficient, and it really helped me get through my college years, as I didn't have to worry about any student loans I didn't have to stress out in any way.
So you did not avail of any loans?
No, I did not.
Okay. I noticed, I've taken a look at the CNMI scholarship website, and I noticed something that is lacking there that I feel it should be included, is the availability of other scholarships that the CNMI students can avail of I know there are many stateside scholarships available to our community. Having being a disadvantaged community because of our locale, our location, I have come across many scholarships that I can share with the Senior My Scholarship to avail of. So I hope once you are confirmed, if you are confirmed, that could be an improvement on the website. And I encourage other scholarship board members to look into that. At this time, I wanted to recognize the presence of Senator Jude Hofschneider. He's here with us today. So that's one of the recommendations I'd like to, put out there. The other one is, there's a big puzzle that hasn't been solved yet with respect to the CNOI scholarship, in that the CNOI scholarship is aware at least a year in advance who will be graduating, what field they'll be graduating in, and when they will be graduating. And I've spoken to, and in other confirmation hearings with other board members for CNMI scholarship in particular, that the CNMI scholarship needs to create this pipeline. And I've been asking them to work with other departments to bring back our scholars back to the CNMI, because we need their expertise, we need their talents. We put them through school. We assisted them in their financial assistance to obtain their degrees. So I wanted to see the CNMI scholarship create a pipeline directly into the departments, and to have the board work with departments, because they have vacancies left and right in the CNMI government. And so that if we have, for example, a mental health specialist, to connect them directly up to a year in advance, contact these people, reach out to them, and connect them directly to the hospital or the community guidance center or wherever their talents are needed. So how, if you were confirmed, how do you propose that we bring back our scholars and have them work for our government? They claim that the salary is too low. But I feel the CNMI Scholarship Board can entice our students to come back. The salary may not be comparable to the United States. It's a different economy. But we also, aside from tangible benefits like salary, should they return back home, I think they get the peace of mind. They don't get to rent housing because this is their home. So what are your plans to bring back these students?
So yes, many students do avail of the scholarship, but choose not to come back because their salaries are so low. But perhaps there could be some, perhaps not necessarily incentives, but remind them of the benefits of coming back home to work here, such as you mentioned, they don't have to worry about rent when they come back here compared to when they are off island. That's one of the stressors that they have, always having to pay rent. Or perhaps if they do come back and they don't have a house to come back to, maybe we can work with other department agencies to ensure that if they do choose to come back, they will have a place, a home already set for them. Maybe that's something we can work with, because although they might feel like the salary is low, but maybe we can work on a way where they can have their housing settled, and such, at least some of the basic necessities for them to come back to the CNMI and work. Well, that's just an idea that I had in mind.
Thank you for that answer. There are programs in the
Yes.
CNMI government for recruitment and repatriation.
Mhm.
So that's a part of the incentives to
Mhm.
when we're hiring from off island.
Mhm.
We pay for their household goods,
Mhm.
but nobody has really, in our local departments at least, has exercised that
Mhm.
benefit. They actually do for off island hires, but it's not as exposed
Mhm.
as it should be. If that is the way to bring back our scholars, because I really want them to come back.
Yes.
We completely and totally need their education and their talents back home. But they do have a recruitment and repatriation program. And in fact, once their contract expires and they choose not to go back to the States, there is a payout
Mhm.
of those repatriation benefits. So I hope you guys look into that and try to inform our graduating students of that benefit. That's one of the issues that we have when it comes to trying to solve that puzzle. You know, they keep singing the same old song of how the salaries are too low. We have to make our students understand, and I know, I understand that they need to, of course, um, make a living, right? And we can't compete with United States salaries. It's just a different economy than what we're in. In about 10 years ago, University of Hawaii did commissioned a study in terms of economic impacts with the scholars that they produce. And one of the findings of that study is that for every dollar that they pump into education, higher education, the return on investment is about $7 directly back into the Hawaii economy. I would like the CNMI scholarship to commission the same study for our students. Some of the problems we encounter today is data collection and the analysis of those data. So I hope and I recommend, should you be confirmed, that the CNMI scholarship try to implement something like that. It helps us as policymakers determine, decisions. You mentioned earlier that you were a recipient of the CNMI scholarship. Can you share your personal experience on how that program helped you or held you back in terms of your educational goals?
So the program has helped me throughout my entire college years. As I mentioned earlier, I did not have to worry about any student loans, or I didn't have to worry about my rent, because knowing that I had that scholarship coming towards the end of the semester, I knew that I had my finances secured. I could pay my rent because I lived on Saipan. I could pay my rent. I knew that I had enough to supply my house for everything that I needed. So being a student who who was from Tinian and went and lived on Saipan all on her own, it really helped me thrive as a student. I was able to enjoy my college years up until the pandemic happened. I was able to solely focus on my academics. And the only thing I had to worry about was studying. So even with the help of my parents, the scholarship really helped me financially, just to give me that financial secureness.
Thank you. Since your initial nomination on July 27th, you were withdrawn. Your name was withdrawn, and we renominated a couple times after that. Have you thought of how you can bring your skills or your education, have your education apply to what improvements you may make at the CNMI Scholarship Board. And we understand your limitations, not having served previously on that
Yeah.
board. But I was just wondering if you've thought about what, based on your personal experience, what can you improve at the CNY Scholarship? Or would you say there was anything to improve at all?
Definitely, there are improvements that need to be made, and no matter what level it may be. I was hoping that through my experience, I could give ideas for whatever improvements that needs to be made. I apologize, I don't have the experience being in the scholarship board, but at least in my experience in education and currently as a behavioral health specialist, I do have insight of for high school students and college students as well, and getting their feedback of the scholarship, see my scholarship itself. So I'm hoping that through my experience and where I'm working, I could be helping by just giving ideas based on what the community provides for me.
Thank you. Being a recipient, a previous recipient of the EAP under the scholarship office, do you feel that the delay in awards held you back?
Truthfully, there were times where it did. There were some semesters where I didn't know when I was going to get it. And it did affect many areas, but just knowing that I will be getting it eventually did provide at least some reassurance.
Because that's one of the issues we hear a lot
Yes.
about in off-island students, particularly. They worry because the checks are delayed,
Yeah.
quite substantially. You usually get it at the end of the semester towards November timeframe when the semester is about to end. And I think that's not a way to administer the program, but that's up to the board. So I hope you take that into consideration. Recognizing Senator Jude Hofschneider, you are welcome to come and join us to ask questions, should you desire. That's all I have for now. Is just that we wanted to see what you could bring or to the table for My Scholarship, and you have answered our questions satisfactorily. Do you have anything else, Senator Manglonia? At this time, we will excuse you for the day, Ms. St. Nicholas, and I thank you for joining us and allowing us to get to know you a little bit better and how you may apply your studies to the board you are nominated on. You are hereby excused.
Okay, thank you.
At this time, we will take a recess until we receive Mr. Frank Lee Borja for his public hearing on his nomination to the CETA board. It is now 10:31 and we are in recess. Ready? Thank you, everyone. It is now 11:04 p.m. Sorry, we are back from recess, and prior to the recess, we vetted the nomination for Miss Patricia Joy San Nicolas, nominated by Governor Palacios to serve on the CNMI Scholarship Board to represent the second senatorial district. This morning, we now have Mr. Frank Borja, who has been renominated, by Governor Palacios to serve a second term on the CEDA Board, Commonwealth Economic Development Authority, and Mr. Babalta, the Special Assistant for Administration, has already introduced the nominee. And we will now go back to public comments, and I now open the floor for public comments. Should you desire to make any public comments, I ask that you please state your name for the record and the entity you represent. The floor is now open.
Half a day again, Madam Chairman and members of the AGI Committee. My name is Edwin P. Audon, and I am the Mayor of Tinian and Agiguan. I testify before you today in full support for the reappointment of Mr. Frank Lee San Nicolas Borja to serve on the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board. Mr. Borja's professional background encompasses serving as a classroom teacher for the CNMI Public School System and the Guam Department of Education. Mr. Borja is currently the LIA Community Project Manager for the CNMI Public School System. He holds a Bachelor's of Arts in English Studies and Political Science, as well as a master's degree in educational leadership from the University of Texas. Additionally, Mr. Borja has been serving as a board member for the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board since the year 2017. Throughout his has proved valuable in shaping our local, having served on of the challenges facing our economy enables him to advocate for the policies and initiatives that addresses the needs of both established and emerging industry. I am confident that he is constantly up to date with the latest development in our economy, ensuring that our community is well positioned for the future. Lastly, Mr. Borja's tireless efforts have proven time and time again that he is genuinely invested in the success and well-being of our community. His knowledge and experience will undoubtedly contribute to the board's success in fostering economic development and ensuring prosperity for the future for Tinian and the entire CNMI. And again, I wanted to thank the governor for renominating Mr. Borja to SIDA. Thank you for the opportunity to state my full support for Mr. Frank Lee Borja and to continue to serve the Commonwealth Economic Development Board Authority. I have full confidence in his reappointment in the best interest of our community. Jesus Masi, and have a great day.
Jesus Masi, Mayor Odon. The floor is still open.
Buenos dias, Madam Chair, Senator Babalta, and Vice President Donald Manglonia. First off, my name is Jurun Talanov Schneider, a resident of Tinian, and I'm here to register my support for the reconsideration and renomination of Frank Lee San Nicolas Borja to SIDA. I also would like to express my support for the earlier nominee, Patricia Joy San Nicolas, who's being nominated and being considered by this body to this committee to the CNMI State Board of Education. Mr. Borja is being considered to assume another round of representation in this very critical and important entity in the CNMI for a number of years. And I am confident with his ability, knowing he's served admirably and consistently in this capacity over the last 4 years, and that he is well versed, and he also has the hearts to assist the CNMI economy or CNMI community in these time and need. We all know that the government sector, whichever administration, they do support encouraging local entrepreneurs in the CNMI to engage, and CEDA, being the entity that is tasked to do that, plays a critical role. So it is important that the board of directors that will be managing this and overseeing this is very much aware and has the compassion to do just that. And I'm confident that Mr. Borja possesses all that. Notwithstanding all his credibility, his credentials rather, he is ready and is fit for the position that is being considered on. So with that, Jesus Masi, and thank you again for having this important hearing here in our beautiful island. Jesus Masi.
Cesar Mosse, to our colleagues, Senator Hofschneider and Mayor Aldon. The floor is still open for public comments.
Good morning, Honorable Chairwoman Babauta, and also to the honorable members of this committee. My name is Joyce Muñoz Flores. I'm the Tinian representative for CEDA, and I will be delivering testimony on behalf of CEDA. Mr. Frank Lee S.N. Borja is renominated to serve another term on the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority Board of Directors, representing the 2nd Senatorial District of Tinian. Mr. Borja is the former chairman of the Board of Directors of CEDA and the Development Corporation Division, the DCDA subsidiary of Corporation of CEDA. Mr. Borja played a significant role in CEDA's successes and during his tenure, and with a harmonious relationship with the CEDA Board of Directors, the management and staff, many have been accomplished. To name a few, the adoption and implementation of changes in the loan programs, including increases in loan limits, adoption and implementation of loan policies to adapt to changing business climate, and also the close coordination with the U.S. economic development agencies, strengthening the CNMI's collaborative efforts to recover from several disasters in the last 5 years. Mr. Borja has many years of experience as a CEDA board member, and fully understands CEDA's and CNMI's struggles and strives. We are at the most critical period of our time, struggling for available resources to sustain us. And Mr. Borja was and is highly capable of finding ways to continue our fight. Overall, he is a valuable asset to this agency as a leader, serving the interests of the island he represents and the Commonwealth as a whole. On behalf of the CEDA Board of Directors, management, and staff, we fully endorse Mr. Borja's confirmation as a member of the CEDA Board of Directors. Thank you for the opportunity to express our support for Mr. Borja's renomination. And with that being said, we look forward to your favorable action to this matter. Thank you.
Jesus Mosse, Ms. Flores. The floor is still open for public comments.
Buenos días, Honorable Vice President Manglonya and Ogo Chairman no Selena Babauta. Kung si Gilomina Sisipeda, matututo under the delegation. Sa malago dyan na dispensa sa tipaparao dyan ni Joko testimonyo sa anemoto dyan mga ginutungo na marinominate state dispensa nino. Lo kumutungos din na patguna sino Frank mampus respetao dyan todo experience niya diskana magardua gi kuleyo untingo na mulit todo binabda niya mo na pre-eskwela dyan ni CDA na departamento como board gi CDA. Tazo go amzo na por favor do sa puputa na confirma si Frank Tado pudi niya no maagon ma-nominate ni gobyerno. Cosa que continuar o que majuda tato tano gini especialmente Tinian. Nawa si Diyos mo si dispensatados pudi para o ni Joko testimony. Thank you.
Si Dios Mose, Señora Cepeda. The floor is still open. If there are no further comments, we will now close the public comments portion of the agenda today. I would like to invite Mr. Borja to please raise your right hand as the legislative assistant will now administer the oath to you. I recognize Mr. Devin Macaronas.
Frank Lee Borja, you do solemnly swear under the penalty of perjury that the testimony you shall give in the matter at hand shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Borja. I wanted to state for the record that the committee has also received letters of support from Mr. Manuel Sablon, the Executive Director of CETA, and in support of Mr. Borja, and also Miss Mildred Sablon Camacho in support of Miss Patricia San Nicolas, as well as letters of support from the Tinian leadership, including the mayor of Tinian and Aguigan. Mr. Borja was nominated on November 9th, renominated on November 9th, 2023 to serve another term in CETA board, and all his supporting documents were received by the committee, completing and thereby allowing us to hold this public hearing. The committee is charged to vet the nomination of any nominee that requires the advice and consent of the Senate, and this is the legislative authority being exercised in our democratic process as required under the statutes and constitution of the CNMI government. I now invite Mr. Borja to give his opening remarks, should you have any, before we begin the question and answer portion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I first just want to thank the governor again for his continued belief in my capacity as a board member for the Commonwealth Economic Development Authority for his renomination to this board. Also, Nandongklu and Situs Masito, who are present here, showing their support. So to my family and friends, thank you for being here. If Madam Chair will allow a brief statement and then just also a highlight of some of the accomplishments I feel that we've done during the tenure of my board in CETA. So since entering CETA in 2017, I think I believe that we've made strides to rebuilding trust in the agency, working on the transparency and again ensuring rebuilding the trusting relationship between our agency and our community stakeholders. If I could just highlight, if I may, just some of the accomplishments again that we've done and some of our successes are the agency. You know, we've together with my colleagues on the board, we've provided an 8-month loan deferral period during the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. And the fiscal year 2022, we provided a 6-month loan deferral due to the economic conditions and the inflationary pressures on our small business clients. We steadily increased the number of business loan opportunities and applicants, despite economic challenges from Super Typhoon U2 in 2018, the devastating effects of the global pandemic from 2019 to 22 over a 5-year period. We've seen the increased business loan amounts from 25,000 to 50,000 to 150,000 to 250,000 and then to 450,000 over a 5-year period. We have supported the implementation of a loan rate calculator that improved and streamlined the loan review process, which is an impartial and fair way to recommend supporting or declining a loan. We've amended the loan policy and procedures to remove barriers and increase accessibility for business loan applicants by lowering the percentage on the appraised value of improved and unimproved loans and streamlining loan requirements, which increase the amount of loans approved to support new businesses and business retention and expansion. We've maintained a low loan delinquency ratio for all new loans from 2015 to present. We transitioned to a new online loan application system, which modernized and streamlined loan application processes that increase the efficiency, the accountability, and improve processing times that in turn increase the number of loan applicants. Again, we've increased efficiency and effectiveness of collection efforts on outstanding debt to ensure continuity and expand the business loan programs. We also helped administer the State Small Business Credit Initiative, SSBCI U.S. Treasury and bank-driven program that dispersed close to $15 million in business loans with the cash collateral support of about $7.5 million, and the loan participation program that offered additional financing opportunities to small businesses. In fiscal year 2022, CEDA received $440,000 from the U.S. Department of Commerce Economic Development Assistance or Technical Assistance to examine the feasibility of the Tinian cattle industry. This study will help provide a roadmap to attract private investment and advance economic resiliency in Tinian and the CNMI. And really, we've also worked to ensure accountability and increase efficiency and effectiveness in fulfilling CEDA's goals and objectives, monthly reports and requirements from the management to support continuous improvement and proactivity. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Borja? I can begin the question portion. Information we received from a report regarding CEDA states that there was $5 million that was borrowed by the administration, the previous administration, to support COVID-19 operations. What is the status of that loan?
Madam Chair, since the midterm ended, I unfortunately have not been updated on the status of the loan with CEDA.
Do you know if the administration has been paying for it on a regular basis? Are they delinquent? Is there anything that we as policymakers should be concerned about?
My understanding is I think they've been good. I have to fight again with Mr. Sublano, Executive Director, but we, at least internal processes within the agency, have been very consistent with following up and ensuring that if a payment needs to be made, that a payment will be made.
Okay. Do you know when the loan will mature?
Not at this time, Madam
Okay.
Chair.
Article 12 has always been a contentious issues. There are passionate arguments on both sides of the aisle for and against. Do you feel, as a CEDA board member, do you feel that it is a hindrance to the economic prosperity of our islands? And in what way? We often hear that 55-year lease is not enough for investors to make significant investments in our islands. I'd like to hear your opinion on that, being a CEDA board member.
Tough questions from the start, Madam Chair. That is a very highly contentious issue. From our conversations with members of our business stakeholders, there has been questions regarding the 55-year lease limit. I think for me, personally, and if confirmed in my capacity as CETA, I think the role or the route that we would like to do, or I would like to do, is really solicit input from all of the both internal and external stakeholders within the community. We have a strong relationship with our clients, hearing their feedback, hearing the community's feedback from every part of the island, and really, as well as the executive and the legislature's feedback and their views, and really coming together at the table and seeing if some type of common ground can be achieved regarding where that will go for Article 12. But if I may, I think CETA would be an appropriate agency to provide comments regarding that, but maybe not necessarily the appropriate agency to make the final call. I'll yield that to your hands.
Understood. Good answer. Being an incumbent of the CETA board, what other improvements do you hope to implement in terms of advancing economic development? We all struggle right now due to the lack of financial resources. So how can CETA play a role in the economic development of our CNMI?
Thank you for the question. Well, I think it's pretty much a given. We're aware that CETA does have a mandate, right, to increase economic development on each of our islands. However, we also recognize that task can be difficult if we just look at the role CETA has in terms of our relationship with the other agencies that work with economic development. We have no real authority to task some of these other agencies who work in similar roles to work on this mandate. At least in my experience, there is some type of a disconnect maybe between our agencies. I personally would like to see a stronger relationship and partnership within the interagency collaborations with our related government sectors for economic development, maximizing and leveraging the use of all of our resources as, in my opinion, the main stakeholder for economic development. I think there needs to be a way for CETA, if that's how the government feels, have maybe a stronger authority in taking the lead in economic development.
There was a bill that was passed in the 22nd legislature to establish an economic development division under CETA. And I wanted to vote no on that measure only because it duplicates the Department of Commerce's economic development division as well. But I think I agree with you that there is lack of communication between not just CETA and other agencies. It's rampant, throughout our CNMI government. And I think CETA can assert some authority and put their foot down and say, hey, we need to work together and collaborate. We need to do something. Obviously, the current system is not working. And it frustrates us as policymakers that this is happening. We are limited. Our hands are tied. We can't go in there and tell CETA what to do. We can make recommendations, and that's one of the recommendations I would like to make to you, is that you assert some authority to collaborate with other agencies, specifically the Department of Commerce. Going back to the Article 12 question I asked you earlier, aside from, because we hear from investors that 55 years is really not conducive to making investments, significant investments in the Commonwealth. And I feel that CETA plays a significant and important role in applying other incentives, such as the qualifying certificate for new businesses or new industries. And I feel that although the 55-year constitutional limit on land leases in the Commonwealth can be supplemented with other incentives, and I hope that the CETA board, should you be confirmed, that they come up with other incentives for businesses. One of the frustrations I've had with is, and I started looking into it during my term here, is that the Jones Act has existed in our covenant with the United States since our inception, and nobody has leveraged that. We have remained silent on leveraging and capitalizing on the Jones Act waiver we have in the covenant. Not everybody is fortunate and privileged to have that provision in their agreement with the United States, and I think it's time to maximize that efficiency. And I've spoken to recently confirmed board member, Mr. Michael Sablon, who is an economist by trade, to leverage that, because I truly believe that if we leverage the Jones Act, we can, and I've done the economic calculations on this, we can actually save up to 40% of the goods you see on the shelves. That's the economic effect of leveraging the Jones Act. So I hope that CETA can come up with a package and tailor specific investment packages for specific industries. For example, you can't have the same investment package for a golf resort investor versus a shipping investor. The two just cannot be universal. The investment packages should not be universal. So that is my suggestion to you. As an incumbent member of CETA, what other improvements do you hope to implement should you be confirmed?
Within, if I may, within the agency, or
Yes, within the agency itself.
you know, taking into account, Madam Chair, your comments and your recommendations, I think that's definitely something we like to bring into when we think about, as you mentioned, packaging a lot of these investments or these investment packages. We've been fortunate with the recent hire, or at least about 2 years already, or a year. We have our economic development manager, so we're going to be utilizing and leveraging his expertise, Mr. Dave Guerrero, and working on that. And I think that's where we need to plan for and work on. When we think about soliciting investment into the CNMI, in addition to, like as we leverage that Jones Act clause, for example, I had the fortunate opportunity this past May to join the governor and the speaker and the delegation for Select USA, where the Jones Act provision was something that we advertised, right, as we try to entice potential investors into investing in the CNMI, but also I think work CETA together with MVA and other agencies, really building and creating this idea of place, right? Who we are as the CNMI, what can you do, and why should you invest in us? We're very similar to Guam. We know that. That's a fact. We're very similar to Hawaii, when we offer a lot of the same amenities. We're really working together with all of these other agencies to try and make us stand out, and how we as a place can, be the better option in terms of investment. Some things that we've talked about too, if like an investor, for example, they would hire, say, a consultant or some site selectors to come in here if they wanted to invest in us. So some factors that they consider in selecting us as a potential location, right, is availability of skilled workers. Do we have a business-friendly government, and really just low overall operating costs? So what can we really working within our agency and collaborating government to government, how can we make that stand out for them? If I may, just some things that we've been talking about in terms of increasing economic development, right? A comprehensive approach, really addressing various aspects of the economy. You know, we've talked about diversifying industries. We really need to reduce the reliance on a single sector or expand on current existing ones. We all know that tourism is a key and is the main economic driver for the CNMI. So the CNMI to invest in a stronger and more effective marketing campaigns, right, and services on our island that really would attract more tourists. We know that infrastructure is a big thing, right? So how can we develop infrastructure? How can we work with these other agencies to ensure that infrastructure development is something that we collaborate and work on? So investing in our critical infrastructures, transportation, utilities. Recently, right, we've been talking about telecommunications. So we already know that improved infrastructure can attract businesses, support tourism, and then enhance overall economic activities. I'm an educator by trade, investing in education and investing in workforce development, right? We need to enhance our education and training programs to ensure that we have skilled and adaptable workforce. We know that workforce is an issue. Talent is always going to be an issue, the availability of having highly skilled workers. If I was a business person and I wanted to invest, what they're always looking for is, does our community have well-trained employees that they can help support their industry or their investment? Again, public-private partnerships, continue fostering collaboration between our public and private sectors. We know that PPPs can help leverage resources. They're the experts, the private sector, and we could utilize their expertise to drive economic development and initiatives. We also got to consider environmental and sustainable practices, things like that, right, in our agency. Global partnerships, hopefully, explore opportunities for international collaboration and partnerships. That way we can open up new markets and then attract foreign investment and hopefully facilitate this knowledge exchange. And just my personal opinion, quality of life improvements. Enhancing their overall quality of life of residents. That means in beefing up our healthcare, education, community service, making not only the CNMI an attractive place to work and live, but an attractive place to visit.
Thank you.
Some things.
Reply. Those are all very good ideas. And of course, we agree with you. We need to diversify our economy. And I do agree that we cannot and no longer are able to sustain our government with just one industry, which leads me to the question about cannabis industry. It was advertised as a billion-dollar industry. Records reflect we are nowhere near 1 billion. So how can CEDA promote that it is now law in our Commonwealth? How can CEDA maximize something like cannabis where there's still, proponents out there who are against that in particular industry, but there are also proponents on the other side of that, the other side of that aisle who are in favor of it. What's your thoughts on the cannabis industry in the CNI? Do you think we should be able to transport between Saipan and Tinian? What are your thoughts? I'm interested.
Sure. Well, I I see the merits of the cannabis industry. Naturally, I think one of the what I foresee as some of the barriers within the industry, as you mentioned, is transport and shipping. Right, while locally, that is, we have legalized it, we still have, up until until the federal government decides to, if and when, or hopefully they decriminalize cannabis, then we can have much better access to shipping or things like that. Uh, tough ones, Madam Chair. Well, if we can leverage that as a potential market and, as you mentioned, industry really diversifying, not just as a consumable effect, but, we see the merits as well as in medical cannabis. But, we like to joke that Tinian is a festival island, right? If we were to have our green festival, right, where people can come in and, we can market some locally sourced products, supporting locally sourced growers and their businesses. But really, I believe that we really should support that industry. I've had the privilege and opportunity to travel to countries and cities where I've seen that market in action, and to witness it. And I think it's working. I mean, as you mentioned, unfortunately, as of today, I don't have the data regarding how the cannabis industry is working for the CNMI. Again, if I had the data, we were able to review it, disaggregate, and then maybe make a data-informed decision regarding that. I would be in a better position to make that answer. But from just personal witnessing of the cannabis industry, from what I've seen, I think it'd be great. It's rather than shying away from what's already available here, we really should make efforts and strides to making it, as you mentioned, diversifying tourism, right? This is a cannabis-friendly destination. What can we do? But also at the same time being mindful of community or, and safety. But it really is there if we want it to.
Help me understand the community of Tinian. Do you feel in general they are supportive of the cannabis industry?
For the most part, with my experience and my conversations, yes.
Okay.
Just talking to members of the people who have been communicating with our cannabis commissioner regarding, making their own micro, I'm not sure the exact term, but, having their own growing and stuff like that. That's definitely something.
Okay. Thank you. When you said you had the privilege, I thought you would continue by saying you had the privilege to experience consummation of cannabis, but that to each his own.
Yeah.
I have no further questions at this time. I will recognize Senator Donald McLaughlin.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations again, Mr. Borja, on your renomination. I just have a few questions in regards to what has been reported out of CEDA. I'm just comparing the last two citizen-centric report. Have you had the opportunity to review the report? Did it come out of the board or in collaboration with the?
Yeah, we had the opportunity to review it. Unfortunately, I don't have it in front of me right now.
So I hope that's okay. I can just bring up some of the points that were listed. In 2022, one of the challenge listed was to assist in the development of an economic development plan. And then in 23, the same challenge is listed, but this time CEDA is wanting to take lead on the economic development. Has there been a plan established, an economic development plan?
Well, our office, especially with our economic development manager, has definitely been collaborating with a lot of our partners, I believe, in planning, at OPD, regarding some of those plans, or whether or not we have one currently is not something I could confidently say yes to at the moment.
Okay. Has CETA worked with MVA or Commerce in preparing this plan, or at least as part of its beginning stages?
Before exiting my term, I think to my understanding and my talks with our ED manager, he's been in meetings with them regarding that. But, again, Senator, the stronger collaboration is what I would like to see. And I think if we go back in, then that's definitely something we'll be pushing for. As mentioned earlier, like there's just the idea of place, right? Marketing our community. We've always thought of that as something just an MBA thing, but really it's something that we should all collaborate on, especially if we're going to be part of our investment package, right? Sending out a nice video, but why invest in us? That's a partnership that we have to work on.
Speaking of sending out investment package, post-COVID, has CETA gone out to any expos or something of the sort to market the cinema as an investment opportunity?
The most recent one that I'm familiar with is our opportunity to go to Select USA. I'm not sure if the senators and Madam Chair have had the opportunity, but if you can,
So
for
you were
the
with
upcoming...
the governor and the speaker on
Yeah.
that trip?
So this is really the Department of Commerce. They have a huge convention/conference, and then it's in its name, Select USA, is asking foreign investors to select USA, and then we really just pitch ourselves. Last time we had a booth. At our delegation, it encompassed members of. We had people from NMC there. Someone from the Commerce office, so we each took turns and shifts and kind of pitching ourselves, trying to sell the cinema to invest in us. But really, just one of many opportunities is that one.
Okay. I'm going to kind of circle back to that one. But my next question is, have you or do you know of anyone that have recently applied for a business license, whether in Tinian or Saipan? Do you know of, or have you applied for any business license?
Oh, I know
within-
people who've applied for business licenses.
Have you heard of any of the challenges in applying for a business license?
Yeah,
And the reason I bring this up is because one of the challenge listed is, or I guess recommendation is to streamline services. And here we have CETA trying to go out and market the cinema as a place to invest. But once a company tries to establish, there's all these roadblocks just trying to get a business license. And so has CETA looked at that challenge and try to assist or recommend how to streamline that part of setting up a business?
Yes. In fact, when we were still a full board, we did allocate some monies to help streamline certain processes and permitting. At this moment, I can't follow up whether or not what happened to that money and if the government did utilize that money to help streamline some of the permitting, because it was roadblocks, as mentioned, because that has been discussed several times, at least at the board level, regarding permits for some of the people who are interested in getting businesses and things like that. But I can confidently say that we did set aside money for that. However, where that's at right now, I don't have the access. I don't have information for that right now.
Okay.
And definitely something I'll follow up with the executive director if confirmed.
Thank you. Yeah, if confirmed, I hope that's something you look further into, because I think that's, on the onset, that's the biggest challenge for an investor or even someone wanting to start a business, is going through all these hurdles and just trying to get a business license. There's all these move to go to zoning or commerce, or and so how do we create this one-stop shop to allow for any investor to just let the process run itself, but to run so smoothly. Are you familiar with this recommendation to look more into non-commercial lending package, and what does that mean? I think it's one of the recommendations that CETA wants to expand its current programs into non-commercial lending.
Yes, it's a conversation that we've internal conversation that we've had with some of the management regarding how to diversify or expand some of the loan programs, or how we can do the loan programs. But it's still just an internal conversation, my understanding.
Okay. Now I see for the last 2 fiscal years, this same challenge continues to arise. It's working with the legislature to try and... So there are 2 issues. One is reduce redemption period for foreclosed properties. What's the current issue that you guys are facing with the current statute, with the 1-year statute? And why drop it down to 3 months? I mean, it's been a pressing issue every year, and so hopefully someone in the legislature will say, maybe it's time to revisit that and see how we can assist CETA. But just understanding what do you think that issue is in regards to reducing that time frame from 1 year to 3 months?
I get that. That's a conversation that's still being, to my knowledge, at least previously, that we're fleshing out in response to some of the concerns that were raised. I'm trying to ensure that I'm mindful of some of the legal discussions that we've had at the board level, but
so let me just, I guess, clarify. So currently, this language is saying that once a property has been foreclosed on, there's a 1-year period for the mortgagee to pay to try to catch up on payments, and so we'll drop it down to 3 months. It's a kind of a big time frame that we're taking away from someone who's trying to get back that property. Is there a reason why? I mean, like I said, it's been an issue for at least for the last 2 fiscal years that I was looking through the fiscal citizen-centric report.
Yeah, it's a pending discussion or ongoing discussion at that level within the agency.
If this is still an issue, I hope that's something that at least could be resolved within the next year, to try to address whatever issues CETA is going through in that regard. There's another issue that was brought up, and that's to remove remaining balances on debts after a property's judicial foreclosure and auction. Only auction proceeds would be owed to creditors. Do you know anything in regards? Do you know what that's about?
I'm sorry. What was it?
Let me look at a different language that was listed. We aim to collaborate with the legislature to remove remaining balances on debts after a property's judicial foreclosure and auction.
If I'm not mistaken, Senator, it's just that if we're looking at some of our accounts and our books, sometimes not clearing out certain items is also like either like an audit finding that's not necessarily even with that that's a task that we've definitely been working with our loan team. Our loan department has been, Ms. Coleman, our manager, and her team has been working really hard in trying to get us to clean up our loan portfolios. And we have a lot of things that needs to be cleaned up, at least internally, that unfortunately, because the full board has not met, that we haven't been able to clarify or work on that.
Yeah, thank you. And I see that as another reason why there hasn't been a lot of loans that have been awarded or approved or dispersed. There's a total of within the past fiscal year at least, there were 69 individuals that started the application process, but only 8 was approved in the last fiscal year. And from my understanding, there are several individuals, at least from Rhoda, that have applied and are waiting for the board's decision, the board to meet and come up with a decision. And so do you know if all those applications are still current, and that they can already establish quorum, but one of the comment I got from the applicant was that, they're waiting for Mr. Frank Borja to be confirmed. And so I guess maybe based on your expertise and experience within CETA, are all these loans still, do you know all these applications are still active and that the board can act on them? Or
Well, this should be if they're still there. The internal controls that we have within the agency is the loan reviews, packages, and then presents the recommendation to the board if it's after certain amount, of course.
Okay. And so I hope that's another thing that you work on as soon as you get confirmed, because there's a lot of opportunity. There's a lot of people waiting to expand on their business or whatever it is they're.
Please
putting
extend
out a
my
loan
apologies to the
Um,
people of Rhoda if that's a hold up on their end.
There's 16 on Rhoda, 13 on Tinian, 40 on Saipan that have at least started the application. Based on the current statute on what can be offered in regards to QC, do you see any other industry that we should look into and include as part of what would be eligible for a QC? And also, maybe we'll have to discuss with council on this, but maybe expand the industries on Rhoda and Tinian to promote more business activities on the other 2 islands. Has any opinion as to what other industries could be included?
Well, I like to, if I had cinema economic data in front of me and I'd be able to look at what's there and analyze some of the trends that we're seeing, then I could say that based on those trends that we're seeing, we could make some recommendations of certain industries. I know that we are very limited in terms of what qualifies for the QC. They submit their application, review together with revenue tax or finance, but ultimately, again, that comes at the decision at the executive level, whether to approve or not. We can only make the recommendation, but we don't necessarily say they're going to get it.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's something that the board can consider in reviewing the list of activities that are allowed under the QC program. I know, for example, the gambling activities, there's an exemption for road and Tinian. So what other industries you think that could be exempted for both road and Tinian to allow for more economic activities on the two islands? And so there are several statutes that needs to be updated in that sense. And like you said, some of the stuff that was listed in your citizen-centric report, if you and the rest of the board members can get together and see how we can update these statutes so that it serves CETA in a sense where you have more freedom to go out and attract these investments. I know one of the discussions, at least one of the points, the topic that was brought up when we were in Taiwan a few weeks ago was, maybe look at opportunities for retirement in Rhode or Tinian, right? And I know that in the statute there's also an exemption on retirees, foreign retirees. I hope that's something that the board can take a further look at. I think that is all for now. I hope that, again, once you get in, I hope that the legislature can work together. Again, there's all these challenges that was listed that mentions working with the legislature, but I don't think we've ever had an audience with CETA, at least since within the last 3 terms that I've been in there. So I hope that we can open up this dialogue and see how we can assist in that sense. I think that's all I have for now. And I hope day 1 is loan approvals. And so thank you. Thank you for being here today. And again, congratulations on your renomination. I yield for Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Manglonia. I just have a few follow-up questions in line with what Senator Manglonia has brought up. What I find very frustrating is that we in the legislature create policies in terms of statutes and, the pathway for the other branches of government, particularly the executive. But there is a great, once a statute or once a bill is signed into law, there's a great disconnect amongst the departments. They operate in silos, and that frustrates us because we're trying to do our part in the legislature to assist in whatever way we can for the economic development of our islands. We really are trying. And in fact, I'm inclined to introduce legislation to abolish some of the light agencies that are duplicative, because I think we need to start streamlining our departments and streamlining resources, our scarce resources, especially in this day and age. One of the suggestions, if I may, to CETA, should you be confirmed, is instead of traveling abroad to these conferences and trade shows, I would like to see CETA and other related agencies in the executive branch plan for a trade show in Saipan or one of the islands of the Commonwealth. It doesn't do us any good to go and travel when we can't advertise our island. All the more reason why we should have a trade show in the CNMI so that we can and there are a lot to offer. We have aside from our tourist sites, I think there's a whole lot more that we can offer in terms, but we just need to find the resources and the talent to have our own trade show. I think that's the direction we need to start moving into. The other frustration I have is that I've spoken to personnel from MVA, and I've asked them, why don't you market investment opportunities for the CNMI? And one of their responses to me, which I find unacceptable, is that they are not, they market visitors and cater to visitors. But I've also told them that MBA has been traveling the world to market the CNMI as a tourist destination. Why not include or work with CEDA to put an investment package together so they can market it, so that we're not duplicating efforts? We can kill two birds with one stone. So I hope you take that into consideration. And you spoke about other industries in response to one of Senator Manglonia's questions. And for your information, I introduced a bill to create a captive insurance industry in the CNMI. And I did prior to the introduction of that bill, I did seek the advice and comments from CEDA. I sought the advice and comments from the Department of Commerce, particularly the insurance industry. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with what a captive insurance is, but a captive insurance is created by a company. It is tailor-made. It's an insurance that is created tailor-made for that parent company. They can't insure anything outside of that company. And I think that's a great tool for investors. And you should probably talk to Mr. Dave Guerrero and the executive director, because those are the two people I've met with to help me improve the bill. The FSM has 20 captive companies. These are global companies. And they generate about $16 million just from the 20 captive insurance companies they have. And they strictly market to Japan only. But if we take our marketing and broaden it in Asia, Korea particularly, I think we need to start competing in that sense. Captive insurance companies generate about 90 million per year in the United States, probably more. So I urge you to look into that in particular industry. And the bill that I introduced, it's currently in the Resources and Economic Development Committee, chaired by Senator Magofnia. I can email it to you so that you guys can take a look at it and see how you can implement that, because I really feel that would assist our CNMI. That's all I have. Anything else, Senator? We have no further questions. You have articulated your responses well, even though some of them may seem like trick questions, particularly to Article 12. That's always a contentious issue, I know. But I do appreciate you making the time, as well as the community of Tinian, to come out and answer our questions. And you have certainly responded satisfactorily, at least to the committee. So I will now excuse you for today's hearing.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Senator Maloney, for your time.
Thank you.
This is Wase. I also want to state for the record, before I forget, that we received a message from Mr. Jose P. Kiyoshi in support of both nominees, Ms. San Nicolas and Mr. Borja, just for your information. No, I'll just say something. We now move on to the next item on the agenda, which is miscellaneous. Is there anything from the members? If there are none, our next, just to make an announcement, The next EAGI committee meeting will be scheduled tomorrow in Saipan to hear other nominees and their testimony. If there are no objections at this time, I would like to adjourn today's meeting. And it is now 12:09 p.m. Thank you, members. Thank you to the community of Tinian and Aguiguan. This meeting is hereby adjourned.
Senator, do you want to-